Hi, I'm Gabriel Lewis, and thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, where I'm fat and I'm not ashamed. Yeah, fat is an acronym. Before you go to wondering, has he lost his mind? I made up my mind last year that I've given all my life basically to helping people, and I had a near-death experience, and it made me come to this conclusion. F, I'm going to start focusing on myself. A, I'm going to affirm myself. And T, I'm going to transform myself. And I'm going to do it right in front of the world, right here on YouTube. And so that's why I call it I'm Fat and Not Ashamed. And I'm also here just to help those who are maybe struggling just like me with the problems of life, needing some inspiration and some motivation every now and then, dealing with struggles, dealing with health issues, obesity, the whole 9 yards. So I thank you once again for tuning in today. And do me a favor, if this is your first time, click that subscribe button. That little funny red, kind of orange looking button. Click it, and then like it and share it. And share it with others who you think will be beneficial or who would benefit from these videos. Today I want to talk about when life doesn't make sense. Yeah, life can get kind of crazy for all of us, you know. There are times in all of our lives when we have to ask that question, what is going on? You know, and we live in a time where things are happening that just seems to be it's crazy, you know. It don't make sense, you know. When I look at the condition of the world, when I look at the problems that we're facing, when I look at the injustices, and when I look at the crime, and I look at all of the problems that we're having in our school system, in our political system, even in our church system, it just doesn't make sense. Even the recent tragedy, the accident of COVID, that really shook the world, it just don't make sense. So I just thought I'd come on today just to give a couple points to try to make sense out of what doesn't make sense, you know, because we all wrestle with it in our minds. So I just jotted a few things down just to remind us of when life doesn't make sense. Number one, here's what I figured out. We got to keep doing what makes sense. I know that may not make sense, but when life is out of control, when life doesn't make sense, the key that I find is we got to keep doing what makes sense. In other words, we got to do what we know is right to do. When we can't figure it out, we got to keep doing what we've been doing. But then number two, when life doesn't make sense, we got to learn to run with winners. That's a good thing. You got to learn to run with winners. I remember the old saying that you cannot soar with eagles if you're living with turkeys. And that's so true. You know, we've got to learn that when life doesn't make sense, we got to get around people who have made it through hard times, difficult times, times of decisions when they didn't know what to do. That's what you got to do. You got to go to school. You got to find somebody who will be willing to sit and talk with you. So when life doesn't make sense, you got to get with some winners. Why? Because they've made it through those rough times. They made it through the dark times when you had to make difficult decisions, when you had to just sit there and figure life out. So when life doesn't make sense, get with winners. They'll help you out. But then number three, you know, it's really simple. But when life doesn't make sense, you just got to simply trust God. And I know that's cliche, but that's really what it's all about. When you don't know what to do, sometimes you just have to sit there and trust God. Why? Because God knows how to make sense out of life when it don't make sense. You see, He's a God that can take the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups, the downs, the hurts, the pain, the joys, and He knows how to mix it all together and make it good. You know, it's kind of like, you know, baking a cake. You know, as you can see, you don't get to where I am today without not only loving to eat, but knowing how to prepare great dishes. And it's like cooking a cake, you know, mixing a cake. And I ain't talking about going to the store, buying a box cake, putting it in a mixer. And I'm talking about making a cake from scratch, man. And that's how God is, you know. You know, when you look at the process of doing that, you know, the ingredients by themselves don't really taste good, do they? Crack an egg and eat it raw. Don't taste too good. Have you ever tasted vanilla extract straight off the stove? Man, it is strong, it's terrible. No taste, no sweetness. Now, some people love sugar, but I just don't enjoy just getting a handful of sugar. And sure enough, don't give me flour to lick. Flour has no taste. I've seen people do it. Matter of fact, when I used to make a cake, my son used to stick his finger in the butter and lick it. But man, I can't just lick no butter by itself. Baking powder, baking soda is not fun eating alone. But guess what? If you take those eggs, if you take that sugar, and if you take that flour, if you take that extract, and if you take all those ingredients and put it in a mixture and put it in the blender and mix it all together, guess what you gotta do? Put it in that oven. Put it under some heat. And in about 45 minutes or an hour or so, it becomes a cake. And guess what? When you ice in that, after it's mixed all together, it's good, man. Don't tell me a vanilla cake and chocolate, coconut on top ain't good. What happened? You took ingredients that were bland by itself, but because you mixed it with the right formula, it was good. My brothers and sisters, that's what God does for my life and your life. He can take the ugly. He can take the disappointments. He can take the tragedies and the mishaps and the separations and the deaths and the awful things. And when he puts it in his spiritual mixer and drops his finger of flavor in it, life turns out to be good. Hey, if you've never done it, click that subscribe button. If this message resonates with you and you know somebody that needs it, somebody that's sitting there at home going, this don't make sense, life ain't making sense, I'm tired of this life, share it with them. And you know what? My name is Gabriel Lewis, and I'm fat. Yes, I am. And I ain't not ashamed. Do me a favor. Click me on next week, and I'll be right here, same spot, giving you a message of motivation. I'll see you next week now. Bye-bye.